boys and girls. I'm Miss Lisa. We're here at the Fayette County Public Library today, and you have joined me for Science Isn't Scary. Today I have 6 questions that have to do with animals that live in or near the water. So we're going to talk about several animals today. The first animal and the first question I have for you is, how do Arctic animals stay warm? Now here we have a polar bear, and a polar bear lives in the Arctic where it's very, very cold. He's often in the water or just laying on ice. So how does he stay warm? I have for myself a little baby Arctic Ocean, and if I were to go swimming in it, let me just show you what happens. I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to go swimming in this cold, cold water. Oh my goodness, it's so cold. If my hand stays in here much longer, it's going to turn red and I'm not going to be able to use it. Oh, it's so cold. My hand can hardly work and function because it's so cold. So I'm just going to wipe that off and try to warm it up a little bit. I'm not an Arctic animal, am I? But a polar bear has an extra layer of fat. Now, I have made a really cool contraption. I took 2 Ziploc bags, turned one inside out so it could zip. Now, between the 2 layers of the Ziploc bag, I put a bunch of blubber. Okay, it's fat, it's Crisco, it's butter, it's lard, whatever you want to put in there. But if I put my hand in here, I can pretend to be a polar bear, and I can dunk myself in here. You guys, guess what? I'm as warm as can be. I don't feel that ice at all. And so this is how the polar bears stay warm. They have this big, thick layer of blubber under their fur, and it keeps them warm. Pretty cool, huh? All right, what about our next question? Question number 2, why don't sharks sink? Now, if you know anything about fish, you know that fish have a swim bladder. They have a little pocket in their bodies that are filled with air. Well, if you were filled with air, you would float, wouldn't you? I could try to make you sink, but you're just going to keep coming to the surface. Well, sharks do not have a swim bladder. Sharks have what we call a oily liver, okay? Parts of their body are filled with oil. And if we put oil in the water, again, you can see that it floats. It's buoyant. Okay. Now, another reason that sharks do not sink is that they have cartilage. They do not have bones. Okay. The structure of their body is made with cartilage, which is a lot lighter than our bones. So those are 2 of the reasons that sharks do not sink. Question number 3 for today. How do penguins stay dry? Okay, so we know that penguins love to slide on the ice, and they go in that water and they get their fish to eat, they get their food. They're always wet. So how do they stay dry? Well, this is a little fun activity you can do. You can print out a penguin and color it super, super hard with your crayons. You guys know that crayons are wax. And so on this penguin, he's very waxy. And if I take the ocean water and I spray him, watch what happens. Oh, get the water pumping. Look at it. Did you see it? Oh, it just runs right off. Well, that penguin is not getting wet. He is staying dry because his feathers have a dark or a deep coat of wax, and it just keeps him dry when he's in the water. Pretty cool. Ready for question number 4. We're going to come over here. How do fish breathe? Okay, most fish do not come to the surface of the water to get oxygen. There is oxygen floating in the water all the time. And so these fish have been equipped with a gill. And that gill opens and closes and lets the water through, and it traps. That gill will trap the oxygen, allowing the fish to breathe without having to come to the surface. So this is a cool little demonstration. This coffee filter is going to pretend to be the gill. Okay, and this is going to be our fish. Okay, and I have taken some water here, and I tried to color it with blue, but there's coffee grounds in here, and so it didn't really turn out super blue. But as you're going to see, when the fish is swimming, the gill is going to collect the oxygen. So all the little coffee grounds in here are the oxygen, and the water is going to go through. Okay, you can see the water passing through the coffee filter, just like the water passes through the gill and through the fish, but it's going to collect the little pieces of oxygen. Okay, it's not a super clear explanation, but you can see pieces of the coffee right there, and those are the oxygen that the fish is going to be able to collect and allow it to breathe so it doesn't have to go near the surface. Pretty cool. All right, question number 4 today. How do baleen whales eat? Now, baleen are this part of the whale. Okay, it's a white, rubbery, net-like surface that the whales have in their mouth. They don't eat very big animals. In fact, they eat some of the smallest things in the ocean. They eat krill. So I'm going to take some parsley, sprinkle it on the water as if it were krill, and I'm going to take a comb, just a normal comb, and pretend that this is the baleen of the whale's mouth. And so as the whale is swimming through the ocean, okay, he's going to swim through the ocean, and look at what he catches. Now, these type of whales eat all day long, because if you're eating something this small, you have to eat a lot, don't you, to fill your tummy. And so that's what a baleen whale does. He eats the krill with his baleen. All right, our last question today is, how does an octopus squeeze into tiny little holes? Now, octopi, that's more than one, octopi can be big. They can be 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds, and they still are able to squeeze into little tiny crevices, little holes in the rock when they're under the water. So how do they do that? Well, this is an easy experiment that you guys can do at home as well. You can take a plastic bag, make sure you seal it up tight, draw yourself an octopus on there, add some water. Now, you'll notice that there's nothing else in there. That's because octopus do not have bones, okay? Just like the sharks don't have bones, their bodies are very jelly-like. So they can easily squeeze into little holes. So I'm going to show you that with just a little bit of power and strength through the little hole, we can take this bag and we can make Mr. Octopus come through this little hole. Okay? Now, if you're interested to see how octopuses do this in real life, there are several really good YouTube videos. Scientists have always thought it was fascinating to see how they disappear inside of a rock crevice. And so scientists have designed experiments where they have an octopus and they have a sheet of plastic with a hole that's like this big. And you've got this big octopus that squeezes himself in through that little hole. Check out the YouTube videos. They're fascinating. Well, boys and girls, I hope you've enjoyed this episode today of Science Isn't Scary. We have covered a lot of different animals that live in or near the water. I hope you'll try some of these things at home because it's really quite a lot of fun. All right, guys, come back and see me again, and we'll cover another science topic in 2 weeks. Bye now.